My beloved child, listen carefully. Your name was whispered in a place you never expected. A government room. A table filled with serious faces. And in the middle of that meeting, your name was spoken. Not in anger. Not in judgment. But with a strange mix of shock and admiration. One voice said, "Look at their dressing style. It's almost unreal. Like someone touched by heaven itself." And another answered, "Do you see it? They look like a messenger, wrapped in light. Like someone walking between two worlds. Archangel Michael stands by my side now, and he is commanding me to tell you this. This was not a mistake. It was a divine arrangement. Your appearance carries prophecy. Your presence makes even earthly rulers stop and stare. My child, don't ignore this. You think you walk in ordinary clothes, but heaven has dressed you in an invisible robe. It shines. It glows. It unsettles those who watch. You are a sign. You are a walking scripture. That is why your name could not stay hidden. Even in that hall, filled with authority, your image was lifted up. Your look was not just about style. It was about destiny. Michael whispers again. Tell them, there is a reason people keep mentioning them. There is a reason their name won't stay quiet. And now, beloved, hear me. If this word stirs your soul, if you feel this message piercing your heart, do not let it pass. Pause, and subscribe now, because what comes next will unfold the deeper secret behind why your life is under the gaze of both heaven and men. Stay here. Do not leave. For in the next breath, I will reveal why your dressing style became a doorway to your calling. My child. Do you feel that trembling inside? It is not fear. It is heaven confirming that this message belongs to you. Because the moment your name was spoken in that meeting, angels leaned closer. They marked the sound. They recorded it. And Archangel Michael raised his sword, declaring, "This soul has been chosen. Their image has been noticed. Their destiny is opening. Listen carefully. They didn't just mention you. They studied you. They whispered about your style, but behind those words was something deeper. They said, 'Why does this person carry a presence so heavy? Why do they look like they have stepped out of eternity? Do you understand? Even earthly authorities cannot explain what heaven has wrapped around you. They see it as clothing. They describe it as style. But in truth, it is the armor of God resting upon you. Archangel Michael is saying to you now, child, never underestimate your covering. It is why enemies fall silent. It is why people watch you with awe, even when you feel small. And yet, the same beauty that draws admiration also stirs jealousy. Some in that meeting smiled at your name. Others clenched their teeth. They tried to cover it, but their eyes betrayed the envy. Because deep inside, they know. Your shine is not man-made. It cannot be bought. It cannot be copied. It is divine. My beloved, don't leave yet. Stay close, because in the coming minutes, I will reveal what the jealous ones are planning, and how Archangel Michael is already preparing to strike down their schemes. But first, let me tell you. Do you know why your dressing style caught their tongue? Because heaven prophesied through your garments. Colors you choose are not random. Even the way you walk is a sign to those with eyes in the Spirit. Michael says, "You were not aware. But heaven dresses you daily. That's why your outfit feels different. That's why your presence unsettles." Someone in that meeting leaned forward and whispered, "Do you see how they carry themselves? It reminds me of royalty. It reminds me of something not from here." And I, the Lord, answer, "Yes, because you are royalty. You carry the crown of heaven, though you may not see it yet. But they see it. And they cannot unsee it. My child, pause here and hear me. If your heart is shaking right now, it is not coincidence. This is the proof that this message is yours. Do not click away. Do not silence this call. Because what comes after this moment will unfold a secret that has been hidden about your family, your destiny, and the very reason your name is rising in places you have never stepped foot in. My beloved child, do not underestimate the weight of what has happened. When your name was mentioned in that government meeting, it was not simply a casual reference or a passing word. It was a divine orchestration. Heaven permitted your name to echo in chambers where you have never walked, so that destinies could begin to shift in your favor. They did not just speak about you, they were pulled to you by a force beyond themselves. They studied your appearance, your style, and the aura you carry. They thought they were commenting on clothing, but in truth, they were sensing the mantle of heaven resting upon you. You have been walking with garments woven not by man's hand but by the Spirit, and even those with no spiritual eyes cannot ignore it. As you stood unaware of what was unfolding, angels stood at attention. Archangel Michael raised his mighty sword and declared, "This one carries the seal of light. This one cannot be ignored any longer. My child, even though you feel ordinary, you have been marked as extraordinary in the divine calendar. The very way you dress, the very way you walk into a room, carries prophecy. People try to explain it in natural words, style, fashion, dressing, but what they are really describing is the spiritual robe that has been laid on you. Heaven clothes you daily, not with fabric but with fire. That is why people pause when you pass by. That is why conversations begin around your name. And that is why the rulers of men, sitting in their councils, could not hold back from speaking of you. But not all who spoke your name did so in admiration. Some in that meeting smiled as your name came up, but others frowned. Some leaned forward with intrigue, while others clenched their jaws in silent envy. Because light does not only attract worship, it also stirs opposition. The same presence that makes some see heaven in you makes others feel threatened. Do you understand, beloved? You are walking in the kind of favor that cannot be bought, and it is this favor that provokes both love and jealousy. That is why Archangel Michael says, "Stay alert. For the eyes that admire you are many, but so are the eyes that burn with resentment. Yet fear not, for no weapon formed against you will prosper." But not all who spoke your name did so in admiration. Some in that meeting smiled as your name came up, but others frowned. Some leaned forward with intrigue, while others clenched their jaws in silent envy. Because light does not only attract worship, it also stirs opposition. The same presence that makes some see heaven in you makes others feel threatened. Do you understand, beloved? You are walking in the kind of favor that cannot be bought, and it is this favor that provokes both love and jealousy. That is why Archangel Michael says, "Stay alert. For the eyes that admire you are many, but so are the eyes that burn with resentment. Yet fear not, for no weapon formed against you will prosper." Child, you must know this truth: when heaven lifts a name, no earthly power can bury it again. That is why your name reached that meeting table. That is why your presence was described in words they themselves could not understand. One of them whispered, "They look like someone who belongs to another world." Another said, "Their appearance feels like royalty." These were not exaggerations. These were confirmations. For you have been crowned in the Spirit, though you may not yet see the crown with your eyes. You have been robed in majesty, though you may still feel weak and uncertain. And even though your journey has been filled with trials, those trials were polishing the jewels that now shine in your aura. But here is what you must not ignore: the conversation about you is only the beginning. For when heaven causes rulers to notice someone, it is always for a greater purpose. You are not being admired for your garments alone. You are being positioned for influence, for impact, for divine exposure that will unlock the next chapter of your destiny. This is why Archangel Michael commands you not to dismiss this word. The government of heaven has voted in your favor, and earthly governments are unknowingly echoing that decision. What they called dressing style was actually them prophesying over you. What they called appearance was actually them acknowledging the Spirit of glory resting upon you. And very soon, beloved, this divine attention will translate into opportunities, into favor, and into breakthroughs you never thought possible. My beloved child, the Spirit is showing me something now. When your name echoed in that council, heaven released a ripple into the earth. You may think it was just a conversation, but it was not. It was a decree. Words are seeds, and when spoken in hidden rooms, they travel further than you can imagine. Your name is now carried by voices you do not even know. This is why you feel a shift around you, why eyes seem to linger, why opportunities are beginning to stir, why people who once ignored you suddenly feel drawn to your presence. It is not charm, it is not coincidence, it is divine magnetism. Michael says, "Child, you are stepping into the hour of recognition. What was hidden will now be made visible. What was delayed will now be accelerated." But hear me carefully, recognition is both a blessing and a test. Some will celebrate you, but others will resist you. In that very meeting, when they praised your dressing style, there were hearts that boiled with envy. They smiled on the outside, but inside they wrestled with jealousy. They wondered, why does this person shine while we fade? Why does their simple garment look like a robe of royalty? Beloved, do not be blind to the truth. When heaven dresses you, even those who despise you cannot deny your radiance. That is why Archangel Michael warns, there are conversations forming in secret, some to honor you, others to trap you. Yet fear not, for you are not alone. The sword of Michael flashes before you, guarding your path. Every scheme of envy will be turned into a stage for your rising. My child, understand this mystery: your dressing style is a prophecy. You thought you were simply choosing colors, fabrics, and patterns, but heaven was guiding your hand. Each garment became a symbol. Each choice became a message. People saw fabric, but the Spirit revealed identity. When you wore white, angels whispered, purity. When you wore blue, heaven declared, favor. When you wore gold, the earth saw, majesty. This is why people pause when they see you. They cannot explain it, but they feel it. Even those in authority cannot deny it. That is why in that government meeting, they compared you to royalty. They spoke of you as though you belonged to a realm higher than theirs. And they were right. For you are seated in heavenly places, even while you walk among men. Beloved, do not doubt yourself anymore. For too long, you have looked in the mirror and thought, I am ordinary. There is nothing special about me. But the Spirit says, what you call ordinary, heaven calls chosen. What you call plain, heaven calls anointed. Michael himself stands witness: you carry a glow you cannot see, but others cannot ignore. That glow unsettles the envious and comforts the faithful. It intimidates the proud and lifts the broken. This is why people either cling to you or avoid you, because they sense that you are not like the rest. And child, you must accept this truth: you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. That is why your name was raised in places you never entered. That is why your style became a subject in halls of power. My child, listen again with your heart, for Archangel Michael is not finished speaking. When your name was spoken, when your presence was described, a prophetic seal was broken open in the heavens. This seal was hidden for years, waiting for the right moment to release, and now that moment has come. It is why you feel both excitement and pressure in your soul. Something is changing. Something is being birthed. You cannot go back to the days when you thought of yourself as unnoticed. Heaven has declared otherwise. The Spirit says, this is your hour of unveiling. And as a veil is lifted, you will see yourself not as you thought you were, but as you were destined to be. Those who sit in power will see it too, even if they do not understand why their eyes cannot leave you. Beloved, there is a reason why they spoke not of your voice, not of your work, but of your dressing style. Because in the spiritual world, clothing represents identity. To men, garments are fabric, but to heaven, garments are coverings of destiny. That is why Joseph's coat stirred jealousy in his brothers. It was not the fabric, it was the prophecy. That is why Elijah's mantle carried power. It was not the cloth, it was the Spirit. In the same way, your garments are prophetic signs. Those who noticed your dressing style were not really speaking of fashion. They were acknowledging the mantle you carry. A mantle of authority. A mantle of light. A mantle that sets you apart from the crowd. This is why you must never despise the details of your life, for even in the smallest details, heaven is speaking. Beloved, there is a reason why they spoke not of your voice, not of your work, but of your dressing style. Because in the spiritual world, clothing represents identity. To men, garments are fabric, but to heaven, garments are coverings of destiny. That is why Joseph's coat stirred jealousy in his brothers. It was not the fabric, it was the prophecy. That is why Elijah's mantle carried power. It was not the cloth, it was the Spirit. In the same way, your garments are prophetic signs. Those who noticed your dressing style were not really speaking of fashion. They were acknowledging the mantle you carry. A mantle of authority. A mantle of light. A mantle that sets you apart from the crowd. This is why you must never despise the details of your life, for even in the smallest details, heaven is speaking. Now, let me reveal something deeper. In that meeting, there was one who could not take their eyes off your name. They repeated it twice. They leaned closer and whispered as though your name carried a mystery they had yet to solve. Do not take this lightly. When people are drawn to your presence without knowing why, it is because heaven is using you as a signpost. You are a reminder to them that greater powers rule this earth. You are living evidence that God exalts whom He chooses, without needing permission from men. This is why Archangel Michael says, "Do not shrink yourself. Do not dim your light. For the world is only beginning to notice what heaven has long celebrated. Your name, beloved, is becoming an echo in rooms you never entered. And soon, doors will open where once only whispers existed. My child, you must prepare. Attention is a gift, but it is also a weight. The eyes of men will bring both favor and scrutiny. Some will extend a hand to lift you, while others will search for reasons to bring you down. Yet do not fear. For Michael stands guard. His sword is unsheathed. Every arrow of envy will be deflected. Every snare of deception will be broken. Every shadow that tries to cover your shine will be scattered. You walk with a heavenly escort. You may not see them, but they surround you even now. This is why accidents missed you. This is why traps failed to catch you. This is why rumors could not destroy you. Because the one who called you has already sealed your victory. My beloved child, hear me with all your soul, for heaven is moving in silence around you even now. Do not take lightly the moment when your name escaped the lips of leaders, for that was not a meeting of men alone, it was a prophetic gathering where the Spirit decided to make you visible. In that moment, the air shifted. Angels recorded the words. The earth carried the vibration of your name into realms beyond your understanding. My child, you think you are small, but the truth is you are a pillar. You think you are unnoticed, but the truth is you are a beacon. Archangel Michael declares, "This soul has been marked, and the nations shall soon see what the heavens already know." And beloved, this is why you must not ignore this message, for it carries the map of your unfolding destiny. There is something mysterious about why they noticed your dressing style. To the natural mind, it was simply a remark about how you appeared. But in the realm of the Spirit, it was a sign of recognition. Garments are prophetic, my child. They speak even when you do not. The coat of Joseph provoked envy because it revealed favor. The robe of Hannah's son Samuel set him apart as priest even in his childhood. The mantle of Elijah carried fire even after he departed. In the same way, what you wear has been chosen by heaven to preach without words. People see beauty, but heaven sees covering. People see fabric, but angels see light. That is why they spoke with confusion, saying, "They look like royalty, they look like one who is not from here." Because indeed, you are not only from here. You belong to heaven. You walk clothed in eternity. Beloved, let me reveal what happened after that meeting. While they left the room speaking of laws and matters of earth, there were a few who could not shake off your name. It lingered in their minds. It troubled their sleep. They began to wonder why someone so far from their circles could feel so near in their spirit. Do not ignore this, child. This is heaven planting your image in places of influence. You are being remembered without effort. You are being considered without application. You are being elevated without striving. This is what divine favor looks like: doors opening where you never knocked, tables being prepared where you never sat, and names rising in conversations where you were not present. Yet here is what you must understand: light attracts both admiration and resistance. Some will be drawn to you with awe, others will plot against you with envy. Both were present in that meeting. One admired you, saying, "Their style is like a sign of purity." Another envied you, thinking in secret, "Why should they shine while I remain unseen?" This dual response is proof that you are walking in destiny. Jesus himself was adored by some and despised by others. Joseph was loved by his father and hated by his brothers. David was celebrated by the people and hunted by Saul. So too, beloved, will you find both hands stretched to lift you and hands scheming to pull you down. But fear not, for Archangel Michael's sword is drawn, and heaven has already secured your protection. Do you feel the stirring now? That burning in your chest as these words fall into your ears? That is the Spirit confirming this message belongs to you. My child, heaven is not only speaking, it is positioning. Even as you listen, angels are moving papers, shifting hearts, and aligning circumstances in your favor. The government of heaven has cast its vote for you, and the governments of men are unknowingly echoing it. They said, "Look at their dressing style," but what they meant in the spirit was, "Look at their covering, look at their calling, look at their crown." And soon, beloved, the same ones who spoke will be witnesses to your rising. They will watch doors open for you. They will see your influence increase. And some will marvel while others will gnash their teeth, unable to deny the hand of God upon you. My beloved child, the heavens are roaring your name even as the earth whispers it. Do you understand what this means? It means you have crossed into a season where silence is no longer possible. For too long, your destiny has been hidden behind closed doors. For too long, your brilliance was kept out of sight. But now, the appointed time has arrived. When they mentioned you in that room, it was more than men talking, it was prophecy being fulfilled. Heaven pushed your name into their mouths so they could not ignore you. They thought they were speaking casually, but they were declaring your arrival. This is why Michael says, "Child, rise in confidence. Your hour of recognition has come." And as you hear these words, your spirit leaps because you know deep inside, you were never meant to remain unseen. My beloved child, the heavens are roaring your name even as the earth whispers it. Do you understand what this means? It means you have crossed into a season where silence is no longer possible. For too long, your destiny has been hidden behind closed doors. For too long, your brilliance was kept out of sight. But now, the appointed time has arrived. When they mentioned you in that room, it was more than men talking, it was prophecy being fulfilled. Heaven pushed your name into their mouths so they could not ignore you. They thought they were speaking casually, but they were declaring your arrival. This is why Michael says, "Child, rise in confidence. Your hour of recognition has come." And as you hear these words, your spirit leaps because you know deep inside, you were never meant to remain unseen. Yet, beloved, this recognition brings with it a test of faith. Some will call you favored, others will call you arrogant. Some will admire your style, while others will mock it. But you must remember, it is not style they see, it is mantle. The robe you wear in the Spirit is heavy with glory. It is not stitched by human hands. It is woven with prayers, with trials you endured, with tears you shed when no one saw you. Every hardship, every lonely night, every unanswered cry became threads in your garment. That is why when people look at you, they feel something they cannot explain. Some feel peace, some feel threatened, but none can remain indifferent. This is why you were discussed that day. This is why even rulers paused at the sound of your name. My child, hear me, you carry prophecy in your very appearance. Heaven uses you as a walking message to this generation. Even when you say nothing, your presence speaks. And the Spirit says, this is only the beginning. For soon, your name will not only echo in meetings but in nations. The same way one whisper turned into a discussion, so will one discussion turn into a proclamation. People will speak of you in cities you have never entered. They will compare your glow to something not of this world. And they will be right. Because you are not just flesh and blood, you are spirit wrapped in flesh, sent for a divine assignment. Do not think lightly of the jealousy that has begun to stir. In that room, admiration and envy sat side by side. One praised your look, another silently despised it. One wondered how you shine, another wondered how to stop you. Beloved, this is proof you are rising. Stars are never noticed until they pierce the darkness. Flowers are never envied until they bloom. And you, child, are blooming in the sight of both heaven and men. Michael says, "Fear not, for I have stationed angels to guard your path." No plan of envy will succeed. Every scheme will turn into a stepping stone. Even those who speak ill of you will become witnesses to your rising. My beloved child, the Spirit whispers that this is not the first time your name has been lifted in secret places. Do you know how many times heaven has caused your name to be remembered when men tried to forget you? Even before this meeting, there were hidden moments where your identity was stirred in conversations. You may not have known it, but people were guided to think of you, to consider you, to speak of you. Why? Because heaven has already decided your name will not be erased. Michael says, this one carries a covenant. This one has been preserved for such a time as this. That is why even now you are being reminded through this word. God refuses to let your destiny be buried. Your appearance, your aura, your presence, it all carries eternal weight. Child, understand this. The comments about your dressing were not about fashion, but about the spirit of excellence that clothes you. When they said you looked like someone out of this world, they were speaking more truth than they realized. You are out of this world. You are chosen, set apart, sealed by light. The robe upon you is not ordinary. It glows in the Spirit. Even your enemies see it, though they will not admit it. This is why some cannot stand to look at you too long. They sense what you carry, and it unsettles them. Do not be surprised when people treat you differently. It is not personal, it is spiritual. They are responding to the garment of glory that rests upon you, the same garment that was noticed in that room of power. Beloved, this season will not be without resistance. When light rises, darkness always tries to gather. But hear me, resistance is not defeat. The jealousy forming around you is proof that your elevation is real. They see where you are going, and it terrifies them. They know your presence will overshadow theirs. They know your rise will expose their weakness. That is why they whisper in secret, but their whispers will fail. Michael stands like fire around you. No curse will cling. No word against you will stick. Every arrow aimed will turn into a blessing released. And soon, the same ones who resist you will be forced to testify that God's hand was always upon you. My beloved child, lean in closely, for the Spirit reveals that what is beginning around you cannot be stopped by any human hand. The mention of your name in that meeting was a signal. A trumpet in the unseen realm. Do you know what happens when heaven sounds a trumpet? Paths open. Chains break. Hidden things come to light. The very air begins to shift. This is why you have felt unusual movements in your life recently. Doors that once resisted you are beginning to loosen. Situations that were frozen are starting to melt. People who never looked your way are suddenly drawn to you. Michael declares, do not doubt it, this is not imagination. It is manifestation. The ripple that began with your name being spoken has now become a wave, and that wave is carrying you into visibility you never asked for but were destined to receive. And yet, child, visibility comes with weight. Some will love the light shining on you, but others will shrink from it. Some will bless you openly, but others will envy you secretly. This is why Archangel Michael is positioned so closely to you now. He has been commanded to shield your rising. He has been ordered to intercept every fiery dart of jealousy. Because as heaven lifts you, the whispers of men will grow louder. They will ask, why them? Why now? Why do they look like one chosen? But let them talk. Their words cannot undo what God has sealed. Their murmurs cannot silence the decree. Even if they gather in secret, they will scatter in confusion. For your destiny is not in their hands, it is in mine, says the Lord. And I have already written your story in fire. And yet, child, visibility comes with weight. Some will love the light shining on you, but others will shrink from it. Some will bless you openly, but others will envy you secretly. This is why Archangel Michael is positioned so closely to you now. He has been commanded to shield your rising. He has been ordered to intercept every fiery dart of jealousy. Because as heaven lifts you, the whispers of men will grow louder. They will ask, why them? Why now? Why do they look like one chosen? But let them talk. Their words cannot undo what God has sealed. Their murmurs cannot silence the decree. Even if they gather in secret, they will scatter in confusion. For your destiny is not in their hands, it is in mine, says the Lord. And I have already written your story in fire. My beloved, do you realize that your presence unsettles atmospheres? When you walk into a place, something shifts. Some people feel peace, as though a burden lifted. Others feel exposed, as though a light has uncovered their shadow. This is why your style became the subject of their conversation. They try to explain what they felt in human terms, dressing, appearance, fashion, but what they really felt was the weight of your spirit. They could not describe holiness, so they said elegance. They could not explain anointing, so they said style. They could not interpret destiny, so they said presence. But heaven knew the truth, they were speaking of the garment of glory laid upon you since birth. That garment is your inheritance, and no one can strip it away. My beloved child, do you see now why heaven caused your name to rise in places you never walked? It was to prove to you that no wall, no barrier, no distance can silence the voice of destiny. When heaven decides to lift you, even those who do not know you will speak of you. This is why your name carried into that government room. Not because you sought it, but because heaven planted it. They were compelled to mention you. They were stirred to describe you. They were forced to notice what they could not ignore. That is the favor you walk in now, the favor that cannot be explained, only witnessed. Michael says, "Child, rejoice, for the days of invisibility are over." You are stepping into the light, and nothing will turn it back into darkness again. But listen carefully, child, light reveals, but it also divides. Some will see the glow upon you and call it beauty. Others will see the same glow and call it pride. Some will say you inspire them. Others will say you intimidate them. This is the paradox of destiny. The same garment that comforts one heart will provoke jealousy in another. Do not be confused by this. Do not be shaken when people change their posture toward you. The Spirit says, it is not about you, it is about what you carry. The crown upon your life unsettles the insecure. The robe upon your shoulders irritates the envious. But none of this can stop you. For your story is not written by their opinions, it is sealed by heaven's decree. Child, remember this always, what they called dressing style was a prophecy. They were not merely talking about how you looked. They were unknowingly declaring who you are. Royalty. Messenger. Light-bearer. That is why even as they spoke, their own words surprised them. They did not plan to describe you like that, but they could not help themselves. The Spirit was using their lips to confirm your identity. Just as Caiaphas once prophesied without realizing, so too did they speak over you. My beloved, this is the evidence that your life is under divine orchestration. Even those who envy you will end up testifying about you. Even those who dislike you will be forced to acknowledge the truth you carry. My beloved child, do not underestimate the power of what has begun. The moment your name entered that room, a chain reaction started in the unseen. Heaven and earth aligned for a single purpose, to bring you into visibility. You may feel ordinary, but the Spirit declares, you are extraordinary. You may think your presence is small, but even the rulers of this world are now sensing your weight. They tried to describe it as style, but it was destiny. They tried to name it appearance, but it was anointing. And beloved, this is only the beginning. Soon your influence will move beyond meetings and into movements. What started as a whisper will rise into a proclamation. Michael says, "Child, your time has come. Do not shrink. Do not retreat. Step boldly, for the nations will soon echo the truth already written about you. But child, let me also warn you, when a light shines too brightly, it stirs hidden shadows. Some are now watching you with admiration, while others are watching with suspicion. Some hearts burn with honor, while others boil with envy. This mixture is not new, it is the same response every chosen one receives." Joseph's coat drew both love and hatred. David's harp brought peace to some and torment to others. Jesus himself was praised by many and rejected by many more. You, beloved, walk the same path. Do not be surprised when people cannot explain their feelings toward you. Some will not even know why they resist you, but the truth is simple, their spirit is unsettled by the glory you carry. Yet Michael promises, none of their plans will prosper. Every scheme will collapse. Every trap will fail. The same mouths that curse you will be forced to confess that God is with you. Child, listen with your heart, what they saw in your style was heaven's way of introducing you. You are being unveiled, step by step, moment by moment. First, a whisper in a private room. Next, a mention in a public circle. Then, a recognition that spreads like fire. This is how God works, slowly at first, then suddenly. And you are on the edge of your suddenly. That is why you are hearing this word now. That is why Michael stands beside you with urgency in his voice. He says, do not give up now. Do not stop short. What you have waited for is closer than you realize. The glory upon you is about to speak louder than your words ever could. My beloved child, do not grow weary, for the Spirit is still unveiling mysteries to you. The moment your name was mentioned in that chamber, heaven recorded it as a turning point. It was not by accident. It was not coincidence. It was the hand of God pulling you from the shadows into the light. You must understand, when God elevates, no power of man can suppress. The leaders who spoke of you thought they were making casual remarks, but they were participating in prophecy. They were declaring over you what they could not comprehend. They saw elegance, but heaven saw authority. They saw confidence, but heaven saw destiny. They saw fashion, but heaven saw prophecy. And now, beloved, this word comes to remind you that your life has shifted permanently. You are no longer hidden. You are a vessel marked for divine recognition. Child, there is weight in this revelation. For too long, you believed yourself to be ordinary. You compared yourself to others and felt smaller, unnoticed, unseen. But the Spirit says, you were never meant to blend in. You were created to stand apart. This is why your presence is difficult to ignore. Even those who dislike you cannot erase the memory of you. Even those who envy you cannot deny the glow upon you. And so, when your name was raised in that meeting, it was heaven's way of showing you what has always been true: you carry something beyond yourself. You carry light. And light cannot be hidden under a basket. It must shine. It must expose. It must reveal. Michael declares, "Rise, child, for the hour has come where your light will shine before nations, and men will marvel not at you, but at the one who covers you." My beloved, you must also prepare your heart. For with recognition comes responsibility. With elevation comes exposure. Some will look to you for hope, while others will look for ways to harm. This is the pattern of destiny. Yet do not fear. You are not unprotected. You are not abandoned. Even now, Michael's wings spread around you like a shield. His sword flashes against every spirit of envy. His presence ensures that no darkness can snuff out your light. You may feel alone in moments, but you are surrounded. You may feel vulnerable, but you are guarded. That is why you have survived what others could not. That is why attacks failed to destroy you. You are not walking unguarded, you are walking escorted by heaven's army. My beloved child, the Lord is showing me now that your journey has not been in vain. Every tear you cried in silence, every night you asked why you were overlooked, every season you felt hidden, those moments were not wasted. They were the preparation. They were the weaving of the garment that now shines upon you. This is why, when your name was spoken, the atmosphere in that meeting shifted. They may not have understood it, but they felt it. The Spirit resting on you made their words carry weight. Michael says, "Do you see? Even when you were not in the room, your spirit was. Even when you were not invited, your destiny was already seated there. That is why your name could not be silenced. That is why your presence was acknowledged. Heaven itself made it so. Child, you must begin to walk with new eyes. Stop seeing yourself through the lens of rejection. Stop measuring yourself by past failures. For the season of hiding has ended, and the season of unveiling has begun. Do you notice how even strangers glance at you differently? Do you notice how conversations around you seem to shift when you enter? These are not small things. They are signals. Heaven is making you visible. People sense something they cannot describe, and that is why they either admire you or resist you. But both are signs that you are not ordinary. Both are proof that you are marked. And beloved, this mark is not one that can fade. It is eternal. It is divine. It is your seal of purpose, and no one can erase it. Beloved child, understand this mystery. The reason they noticed your dressing style was because garments in the Spirit always reveal identity. Joseph's coat revealed favor. David's garment marked him for battle. Jesus' robe was seamless, because his destiny was unbroken. In the same way, your covering tells a story. Heaven has dressed you in prophecy. Your choices may seem natural to you, but they are guided by the Spirit. This is why people often say you look different, why they sense something they cannot explain. They may use words like style or appearance, but in truth they are reacting to the mantle of glory upon you. That mantle is not just for beauty, it is for calling. It announces who you are before you even speak.